first presentation is about revolution, because it seems that we, in order to provide the right content at the right time to the right person, on the right device and at the right cost, we need a revolution. About revolution, it will be, Darko Ratkaj will speak. Darko Ratkaj is very well known to most of you. He comes from Croatia. He is senior project manager with the EBU. And here it says, currently focus on wireless transmission systems, terrestrial radio and TV networks, as well as 4G, 5G. Darko, would you please take the floor?
Many thanks for the introduction. Okay, so I promise I'm not trying to be a journalist. That would be, I think, a disaster if I did. I have one other confession to make. I am an engineer, so all I'm trying to say is, I will say, comes from an engineering corner, if you like, viewpoint. Now, please raise your hand if you are an engineer too. Is there any other one than me in the room? How many engineers are? Right, three, 4, very good. Okay, so who is there a lawyer in the room? Right, one lawyer. Why I'm asking, I'll explain later. Is there an economist or somebody who is into, who pays the bills in your organizations? Okay, so nobody dealing with money. All right. So now, why I'm saying that? As an engineer, I learned I will have to work for a boss who is most likely going to be a lawyer. As a lawyer, they told me, I like hanging out with lawyers, by the way, they told me their boss is most likely to be somebody who deals with money. And I'm not going to ask who is then the boss of the boss of the boss. Anyway, Revolutionize Media, it's supposed to be a presentation about technology. I'll do my best. I promise I will not speak about formulas. There is a couple of charts, but no formulas. No formulas. So this is what I will try to at least cover. I've learned yesterday that most of you already know about the EBU, so I'll go very fast through that. One of the challenges I learned yesterday is if you produce a piece without knowing your audience, and that's what I did. So please forgive me for that. About the EBU, well, the EBU is an association of public service broadcasters. I don't think I need to introduce that. We have two different parts, generally. One is the member services, and the other one is the operations for the benefit of the members. That's the commercial and the production operation. We also have the Eurovision Song Contest, but this is, from our point of view, a small activity. So I promise also I won't sing either. A couple of figures, and you can find all of this on the EBU website. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the media experience. Again, I'm an engineer, so what constitutes a media experience? What is the user experience made of? So what is it? And then I came across this, an example, just to set a stage about the technologically driven possible future. You may have seen that.
Fantastic. Great. Nice. Great.
Más tarde, apúrate si quieres una buena calificación.
Voy lo más rápido que puedo.
¿Has pensado en correr? Es saludable y eficiente.
Seguro que no hay más trabajos disponibles. Yo estudié para ser profesora y estoy haciendo mercados.
Y además puedes quedarte con los puntos de fidelización. Eres una monje afortunada. Tienes que confiar en la aplicación. ¿Te sientes inspirada? Gracias. Chao.
¿Quién soy yo? No, eso no es lo que quiero decir. ¿Para dónde voy? No. Puedo volver a empezar. Olvídalo.
Estoy presente ahora.
Adiós. Olá, me llamo María.
Bueno. Hola otra vez. Ay, no, cállate. ¿Qué está pasando?
Buen día, Emilio. ¿Qué puedo hacer por usted?
¿Qué está pasando? Mis puntos están bien.
No se preocupe, sus puntos están seguros conmigo. ¿Le puedo ayudar en algo más, Emilio?
Yo no soy Emilio, yo soy Juliana Restrepo.
Por favor, espero.
Hola, Juliana Restrepo. Me alegra verte. ¿Qué puedo hacer por ti?
Mis puntos están bien. ¿Qué está pasando?
Tranquila, todo está bien. Parece que alguien está intentando vulnerar su cuenta. Por favor, espere mientras reinicio su dispositivo. Hola.
No, you get the point. What did this little piece, I mean, it goes on and on and on. What did it leave you with? When I saw it for the first time, it left me with the feeling of anticipation. I appreciate it's not about media so much. It's about a technology that kind of pushes that personal space down to zero. Yeah? So back to my question, what does a media experience, what does user experience consist of? What do we need to focus from the technical point of view in order to make it better? And this is what I came up with. First thing is quality. Maybe first in some kind of hierarchical order, but you make your own. And quality is not just technical quality, obviously it's the quality of content first and so on. It's also, can I trust that source? It's not my field, it's yours. We have had a lot of discussions yesterday about this. The good news is that public service media are the most trusted source of media that there is. And I think this is a strong resource. Second one is the choice. As an individual, as a user, I'd like to have a choice. And so the question is there anything I can watch now, I can listen to now? It's a one that many technology companies are trying to grasp, to solve. How do you present me with the choice, with the relevant content that is in the context where I am in, and so on and so forth. Again, something that is the field of content more than technology, but technology is an enabler. The third one is the convenience. How easy for me is it to get to the content? Can I do it, or can I use it on my device, or do I need to have some specific device? Can I do it myself? Can my old mother do it? Or does she need to have a granddaughter to help her with it? And the fourth one is the cost. We don't talk much about it, but the costs are a limiting factor in some sense, they are a facilitating factor in others. So only when all those four elements come together, my experience will be positive. If either of these fails, something wasn't right, yeah? Okay. Anyway, so let's take this as a starting point. Now, I'll try to shift very quickly on some of the statistics we're seeing about where is the audience going. Yeah? So we all in the business of trying to find the way to the audience first. Yeah. So first of all, technically at least, there are many different kinds of media. I suppose also in terms of journalistic and creative aspects. I hope you'll agree. This is one way of dividing that chart, that cake. But one observation here is that what you see on the left-hand side is what the public service media and other commercial media as well are already doing every day. And the number of different formats in which content is being presented to the end user is multiplying, it's increasing, it's changing. But this is where we are already, and even more, of course, the user-generated content is being integrated into the production now. Yeah. I call virtual reality and augmented reality emerging formats, simply because I'm not yet convinced that there will be mainstream media. There are ways of generating or presenting content, but they're not yet. I think they're not technologically. They're not yet mature enough. Now, of all these different possibilities, what do people do? What do they choose? And this is a couple of charts that come from the EBU Media Intelligence Service. So those are the colleagues that are monitoring market developments, looking at the statistics, at the user behavior, and many other things, and they come up with the charts like this. So obviously, the traditional radio and television is declining in terms of the overall usage and the proportion of the total viewing time and listening time, but they are by no means losing out yet. They're still the single most important source effectively for all age groups. I think let's not forget that. The innovation goes online. We all agree that. Innovation goes online. Very little innovation goes into linear. But linear is still the main proposition in terms of service, in terms of way the content is presented to the user for the overall audience. Of course, online is important, it's growing, and it is slowly but steadily taking a bigger and bigger part of the overall viewing. Social media, we have heard it yesterday already, is the dominant among the young people. But another question would be at this point, what do young people actually do on social media? Do they really watch television, or video, or do they communicate, or do they do all of it? Well, I don't really know. Yeah? Another aspect is that young people don't behave everywhere the same way. Yeah? So if you find your own country, you will see how does it actually compare with the others in terms of media behavior. So this is an overall viewing chart. Yeah? So what we can see is that even though there are a number of different ways of accessing content, the traditional ways are still the single strongest one, but the overall time we spend watching and listening is growing. Yeah? I think this is an element that I think it's a phenomenon. Yeah? So perhaps the linear television, linear radio is there to stay, but all the other means of accessing the content, I think, will become increasingly more and more important. On which devices people watch and listen? So it would appear that the big television screen is the single most important device. But it's not just a big display. You can use it for many different things if you have the right attachment. Yeah? So if you have different set-top box or streaming box, you can do many different things with the big screen. Yeah? Then we have these things. These are called sound bars. I don't yet have one at home, but I was told that once you have it, you don't need any other audio device. Yeah? That's technology. This is a radio receiver, this little round reddish box. And it's no longer on the market I'm really sorry, or I was sad about that. It's a radio receiver that can do anything you would ever wish to do with a radio. It goes to any radio network. It goes online. It's got touch screen. It tells you who is, what's the content, some basic data. It's got a remote control. Yeah? That's a radio device. So if you want to make use of all the capabilities of such a device, how do you generate your content? How do you package it? Yeah? Then we have personal devices. Yeah, nothing new that. These are the new kids on the box, on the block. Yeah, those are voice-controlled, smart speakers. They sell them. They say. Anybody has got a smart speaker at home? Alexa. Alexa, do this and that. So what do you use them for? Right. Other than an alarm clock. It seems that the most people actually use them to find content to listen to. So if you're a broadcaster, how do you ensure that when you say, Alexa, play me Radio 1, it's your Radio 1 and not Radio 1 on the other side of the world? How do you get there? Because there is a big company in between you and Alexa. It's called Amazon. How do you get there? Cars. Cars are where we spend a lot of time. The cars are now connected. How do we make use of these screens and these devices there? How do we get there? How we engage people that are not the drivers, they shouldn't be engaged, but those that are not driving. And maybe soon there will be nobody driving the car, and no human would be driving the car. So it's a question, how do you get there? And then, once the new technology is mature enough, how will you tell a story to somebody who is wearing glasses and is completely oblivious to the outside world? Isn't that a good question? I don't know the answer, but I mean, that's what fascinates me in a way. So out of all these devices, what do people use? They use all of them, of course, but not to the same degree. So it would appear that television set, even for the online viewing, when it comes to long formats, long format drama, long format documentary, so it's always the big screen. Always, it's in most cases the big screen, because this kind of content is consumed at home, indoors, and everything else being the same, people will always set for the largest screen and the highest quality. Big screen. Right? Now, it's not for the same for all the other content. So if you have online access, as a question, if you ask how do people access online content, it seems to be the smartphone, especially for personalized things, for social media and so on. So from the provider's point of view, obviously, you target different devices with different content. I haven't heard, I must admit, I was sitting in the back of the room yesterday, I haven't heard much about this aspect. How do you tailor your content to the device you want to target? Or maybe the idea is you put on every device you possibly can, because that's how you maximize your reach. I don't know. The other aspect is, where is your user? What is their situation? So this is a traditional one, at home, living room, we watch together. But the television screen is not a traditional television screen. It's a connected TV, and you have a lot of apps. So how do you ensure that when my grandmother switches her television screen, she doesn't get Samsung app, she gets the first channel that she wants? How do you get there? Those are the questions that are commercial questions rather than technical, but also technical. Then we have this. So apologies for a not really high quality picture there, but this young man would appear to have at the same time his earphones and his computer and the television set and the gaming console and all this at the same time. Now I can't do that because it drives me mad. I can't really do that, but they seem to be able to. How do you engage them? That's the question we had yesterday as well. How do you engage young audiences? Anybody familiar with this setup? Yeah. So this is a new prime time, queuing and commuting, and so again, how do you deliver to these people? Yes, on the smartphone, but how do you connect the smartphone underground to the source of your content? Somebody has to build a network. Somebody has to kind of make sure the pipes are open. Then this, we speak about young people a lot, and that's great. But I hope that in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, everybody in the room will be alive and kicking. And so what do we do with all the old people that will have both time and money to spend? Because young people have got a lot of time and ideas, but usually no money. So they are cost-sensitive very often. And then this, we will get some more time back once the cars start driving us around. We'll have some time back. What will we use that time for? Most likely we'll do something with the content, and who will deliver that content? How do you get there? Okay. So with all of this, the challenge is to somehow get the right content to the right user at the right device, and so on. So, but there are regulatory and commercial constraints there. You don't have unlimited resources. Your companies probably have budgets for different things, and you have to behave and you have to be within that budget. If you don't, you're in trouble, or your company will eventually be in trouble. So how do we do that? Being public service media, we have additional mission. We are media with purpose, and that purpose is not just making money, it's a broader purpose, yeah? So, can you read this? Good. Because from here I can't, but that's okay. So one thing that we keep very high at EBU is that we want to be universally available. It's not for us any longer to decide how and where the content will be available. It's the user that looks for content that they want. So how do we get to all the relevant platforms? Anyway, so a brief summary, I will just jump through. So there are trends, there are in services, in devices, in the behavior. There are others, but I think those are the most relevant ones that have an impact on how do we conduct our business. Yeah? So what impact does it have? First of all, it increases the expectations in terms of choice, quality, availability, and so on. It increases the complexity of our operation, because if I have to distribute content that you guys produce over many different platforms, and I'm a distribution guy, it's a very, very tough job to be on satellite, on terrestrial, on cable, online, on this platform, on that platform. That's my job, but it's not easy. Yeah? It increases my costs. And it also, this whole set of trends together, leads to an increased competition. Now, who is my competition? Who is your competition? Who is your competition at home or in your markets? Yeah. So, Family is your competition. Okay, right. Who is the competitor of your company? Right. Right. Yeah, you're all right. So, just a couple of charts. So, if you are public service media, I'm not saying you must be, but if you were, probably your competitors will be commercial broadcasters, you know, good old frenemies, I was told, that's a word. So they've been around forever, and you know them, and they are most likely going to be your local competitors, and so on. But now you also have non-European providers, you know, those that come from the other side of the world into your market and compete with you. Then you have telecom operators that want to be television and radio services. More television than radio, I must admit, yeah. So, and then last but certainly not least, you have these people here, these companies. Yeah. All of them are competing for your audience, for your, if you are funded partly or fully by advertisements, for that money, but also for talent. You know, I was told that the most difficult thing to find is an engineer who is competent in computers and broadcasting technology. It's the most difficult thing to find is a data scientist. Not that they don't exist, but you can't afford them. Yeah? Anyway, that's gloom and doom. Now, how do we compare with them? How do public broadcasters compare with those that are kind of intruding into our territory somewhat? So this is one chart. You don't need to read the small print. You'll read it if you take the slides, and then I gave you also the reference. But the little blue blob over there in the corner and in the left is all the EBU members combined. So their financial weight in terms of some kind of money, all them combined are represented by this. And then you have the commercial broadcasters next, and what else? I cannot read that. It's too small. Okay. Anyway, you get the point. European, non-European telecoms and internet. So they are big, yeah. And then if you like this in a different way, so the little blue line at the bottom are public service broadcasters, all the others are the others, you know. Their revenues are growing, ours are kind of more or less stable. And this is an interesting one. So all of a sudden the curves are inverted. Who spends how much on content? So even though they are so much bigger, they spend much less in producing the original content, you know, local content, than we do. Isn't that interesting? But that might change soon, because we see that at least Netflix and Amazon, they are investing huge amounts of money into producing content. So we want to watch out. Now, what to do? We are very, very collectively, all together, very small, and we are confronted with this big industry. So I appreciate it's not a technical presentation, but I think it does put things into perspective. So my first message is this, right? There's no reason to panic, because what you have is the trust. They still need to earn it, right? You know your local market. So what we realized at EBU a long time ago is that we all have the same problem. All the public service media have one or another way the same problem, the same set of problems. So there is an initiative ongoing for a few years which is called digital transformation. What does it take for an organization to become a capable competitor, actor in this digital world? How do you do it? What's needed? And it is a complicated exercise, and I won't go through all of this, partly because I'm not competent for all of this, and partly because we have no time. There is a reference, if you're interested, read it. It's really, really interesting. But this, there is a list of drivers. You will hopefully all recognize the same problem, some of these issues that you're dealing with every day at home, one or the other way. And these are the things that will help, or that we've somehow found out to be helpful. And behind each of these themes, there is a long list of things. I've only highlighted some of the technical areas where but it seems that we all have the same idea where to go, the same direction of travel, but we travel at different speeds and probably taking different routes. I was told this is the key word, We need to keep looking for better ways. Now, more than halfway into my presentation, I've arrived to the point to talk about technology, right? Technology is an enabler, obviously. It should not constrain you, but it should help you doing what you normally do. And the first thing that comes to me when somebody talks about, says media technology is a very confusing field. All of these are technology. So what would you like me to talk about, right? Which one? Pick your choice. Anyway, it's not helpful, is it? So I wanted to say a couple of things about very, very few areas where we are putting a lot of effort these days. One is improving quality, technical quality. That's where I work. So how can you improve technical quality? Actually, you can only do it in a couple of different ways. One is producing better pictures, more detail, better motion, better, nicer colors, more natural and all this. The other one is better audio. The third one is delivering it in a better way. And you must have heard the term ultra high definition, UHD, 4K. Anybody heard about it? So I suppose so, yes. So this is the whole point. We're trying to make the technical quality better. Ultra high definition comes on the heels of what we knew today's high definition, which was before there was standard definition, before there was something. So there is a continuous improvement in technical quality. The other keyword here, or buzzword, is IP. Everything is IP, and it would take me about a conference of this size to try to cover some basics of what the IP is. But basically, IP in the media sense means you take this standard hardware off the shelf, you go to the local shop and buy a computer, and then put a software on it that will do what you need to do for producing, editing, storing, archiving, metadata, and so on, distributing everything. So this is what IP is all about, using the standardized hardware with the software, and probably with the infrastructure such as cloud, in order to produce content. You don't buy specialized boxes, because when you buy specialized boxes, you can only use them for a particular purpose, right? But with IP, you can be much more flexible. So what's the idea here? Having everything on a standardized hardware, you can plug one out and put the other one in without interrupting the workflow. You don't have to stop everything in order to connect the box in between, right? You are much more agile, you are much more efficient, ideally. you can adapt to the changing demands much faster, and you can adapt to technological changes much faster. One thing I probably didn't say, and I think I'll highlight that, you won't save money. So don't expect to save money. Nobody that I know of has saved money by going IP. And the change that it implies is organization-wide. It changes the newsroom, it changes the archive, it changes the production and play out, and everything changes when you go IP. So we don't yet actually know what's the best way of doing it. I won't go through this, but if any of your colleagues ever want to know how other people that have been through the process are going about it, I recommend you to read this paper. Or contact me, or contact some of my colleagues anyway. Right, so I'm out of time. I'll be very, very quick. The reason why I'm talking about is that many members are building new buildings these days. The buildings that are now 50 years old need to be replaced or refurbished. And if you need technology that will last for another 10, 15, 20 years, which one would you choose? So that's what I'm trying to do. I think I better skip this one because there are people in the room that are much, much more competent to speak about it than me. This is my take. I believe that it is about good data. It's about extracting the insight out of data. And just having data and more data won't help that. You need to know why you wanted it. It's about creating values. 5G. Anybody heard about 5G? Right. What's 5G? 5G is a technology that follows after 4G and precedes 6G. It's obvious. So 5G is a communication technology. It's a mobile technology, better mobile phones to start with. But there's a potential. It's a good technology. It's a potential to change many things in the way we work. Yeah? So currently, where are we with 5G? Apart from a lot of hype, you know. We are at the stage when the technology is just about to leave the laboratories. So we've got some standards, some technical specifications. There are a lot of tests and trials. It's all about the future. So when somebody tells you, we have 5G, don't believe them. Nobody's got 5G yet. There are technologies that are coming that are in that direction. But maybe another aspect, 5G or any technology, it doesn't come with big forward leaps. It comes in small increments. So at one point we labeled them 4G, and then a lot of the development actually happened, and now we have 5G, but the development is continuous. So don't expect a revolution in that space. It will get better. Huh? On those two, I think I should just mention, we believe augmented reality is important. We don't believe that virtual reality is a major game changer for media. We might be proven wrong, but this is how we hold today. I don't think you need me to tell you what's what, but just in case, the source of all knowledge is Wikipedia, isn't it? So this is what they say. Yeah? On distribution, very, very briefly, we have many different ways we use to reach the end users, and all of these are changing. Now, those are technologies, and I don't think you need to spend much time actually talking about this or thinking about it. Just bear in mind this. If you want to be universally available on all devices, then somebody in your organization needs to be able to push your content through all of these pipes. Yeah? And then Wi-Fi is, I think, also we should not forget. This is something that you're probably much more involved with, that there are online platforms that you want to be part of. How do you use the capabilities of over-the-top and internet platforms to push your content to the end user, right? So if you're in the media, chances are you will be working somewhere along this little arrow, yeah, this chain. And where do different media, different technologies fit? And it's my take. I think for some of them affect the whole chain, some of them really just some aspects. As I'm out of time, I think I should get very to the end. Those are the references. And what do I say for a concluding remark? You know, I spent part of my life. I come from Croatia here, not far, next door, but I spent some of my time in the north, and this is what I learned. So I thought, maybe I just give you that. Thank you.